don't even know how to treat men because they were never taught how. Boys grew up being trained from day one. Be a gentleman, open the door, protect her, provide for her, be understanding. And if she hits you, you don't hit her back. Everywhere we looked, the message was the same. Movies, books, fairy tales. The man rescues the woman. The man saves the day. The man risks his life. The man carries the burden. And women were always the princesses, right? But there's a problem with that. We never saw the reverse. We never saw stories about how women should be treating men. No novels teaching girls how to respect a man. No movies demonstrating feminine loyalty, softness, or devotion. Parents don't even teach it. School doesn't even teach it. And society definitely doesn't teach that. So guess what happens? We have generations of women who accept everything, but were never taught to give anything back. And feminism made it worse. Instead of teaching women how to understand men, how to work in synergy, how to create polarity, it taught them to compete with the men, to fight with them, to become a man, to see softness as weakness and masculinity as toxic. So, how can a woman treat a man well if she was never shown what feminine contribution even looks like? And how can she respect him when all she grew up hearing was men are the problem? How can she love him correctly when she was taught that he owes her everything and she owes nothing in return? Men today are paying the price for a script that they didn't write. They were raised to give everything. Women were not raised to reciprocate. And the only way we fix this is by teaching the truth. Polarity is freedom. Synergy is power. Relationships only work when both people know how to love each other and live in their masculine and feminine energies. Until women learn how to treat men with respect, softness, admiration, and understanding, the imbalance is going to continue. Women, we need to do better.
All right. So remix it. Let me go ahead and say my portion, and then I'll turn it over to you, bro. So let me put it this way, man. I agree with her. This conversation is so difficult, not for me personally, but it's difficult for a lot of people because it forces you to look at things in a negative light instead of actually looking at them as opportunities to reevaluate some things about yourself. Because if you came to me and told me you're not eating healthy, you're putting too much cholesterol in your body or too much sugar in your body, and it's going to make you sick, and it might end up later on putting you in the hospital. I'm going to receive that because I know my health is on the line. This is life or death. And I'm not trying to be extreme. I'm trying to paint a picture. When we have these conversations, there should be a level of urgency behind it. It shouldn't be dismissed, or it shouldn't be evaluated from one set of eyes, right? Perspective matters, context matters. And if you're already going into these discussions with a skewed version of what you think it's supposed to look like, you've already said, you know what, this conversation doesn't matter because I believe what I believe. I grew up how I grew up, and you can't tell me nothing else. I'm just not available for nothing else. We're not going to get anywhere with that. So, with that being said, just my initial thoughts. I do agree. We got some more layers to peel back here, but I'm gonna let you pick up from here, man. If you want to add anything.
Nah, I mean, I think the topic was good, man. I'm just trying to figure out which POV you guys are using, because you
So
sound like you was arguing against it just now. So I'm kind of confused.
so I'm not arguing against it. Honestly, what happened was there was a woman in another video that basically said, all of you women who say you don't need a man and you don't need this and you don't need that, you're a liar. You're just saying it because you don't know how to keep one. That was the original video. Someone took it down, so I couldn't spin back on it. And then I came across this one and I said, all right, I can use this. It kind of coincides with her argument. She wasn't very detailed, but she was basically saying, all of you are lying if you say you don't need one. So that's where this stems from. Now, I'm gonna say this: nobody needs anybody, right? But technically, we need each other. If you go on scriptural, we need each other. Um, but a lot of what she said, it made sense to me because men are taught to look at society as a whole, as a collective. Women, most are taught to really think about themselves or look after themselves. And so you don't have the same level of respect or empathy for men because it's you're a princess, you're a queen, you're supposed to have rose petals thrown at your feet. The guy is supposed to open the door for you. He's supposed to be traditional at all times. He's supposed to lay his life down on the line for you at all times. This, that, and the third. But then when you flip the whole thing, and then it comes back to, all right, so what about the man? What does the man get? We don't have those type of conversations, or we don't see enough of them. So it comes off as if you're being kind of selfish. And let me say this, Michelle, it's not all women. We're not okay. Let me put that out there. It's not all, but don't. I want y'all to understand when we have these type of conversations, we're not speaking for all women. We're speaking about a specific group. There's a specific group, right? And if we can't be honest about that, we can't really further the discussion. But I'm gonna stop right there.
Yeah, I don't think anybody's being honest. Be perfectly honest. The irony in that, saying I don't think anybody's honest, but I'm gonna be honest, is it goes back to accountability, man. Men shouldn't be worried about what women thinking. Hold yourself accountable, find value within yourself, and you ain't got to worry about what everybody else is doing and what they're thinking. So, I mean, that's just me, man. I think it should be more men, you know, stop taking onus and honor and trying to be the villain. Because what happens is when you try to be the villain, as we grew up, most of us did, you start owning that persona and that image. And then when you outgrow it and you actually trying to educate, you trying to lead people, and they still look at you as if you're that villain, but you change. And that's the problem that we have as people is we can't identify with, with discernment and when people change. And so I think that's just things men need to do within themselves is, stop worrying about everybody else externally, start worrying about yourself internally. And once you start reflecting how you actually do feel and the power that you yield, those type of people, you'll attract those type of people. Just my thoughts.
Any response to what he just said, Zay?
I was just thinking like what you just said, Coach. It's actually completely underrated. Like how important that is. You know, everything, your whole reality shifts when you do the work on the inside, right? one simple conversation that you have with a woman like a week ago, right? You can be all over this woman, right? And you can actually see that she's marriage material. Even though something inside you said, nah, I don't think she's marriage material, but I'm going to neglect my intuition and go ahead, go along with it. And then something is drawing you to your inside and saying, wait, maybe I should heal. Maybe this is codependency. Maybe this is wanting something for myself and willing to neglect myself just to have it, you know? And then once you have that mindset, your whole reality switches just like that. And next thing you know, the same conversations that you have with this woman no longer fits your standard. And the next thing you know, you leave and you want something better for yourself. As a man, you want something better for yourself. You don't want something that's holding you back, especially if you know you have a dream for yourself. You don't want that. So like you start doing the inner work. Like that is so important, you know? So I just wanted to agree with you.
No, check it right. So I think, like somebody said, men are taught that value is conditional. And I agree. Transactional is what the word we've been using a lot lately. And I think you're in a culture, again, we talked about this a few times, where the roles have shifted, where men don't value themselves. They're being manipulated by other things that are out there, other entities, other genres, whatever it is that you want to identify it as. And without knowing the value within themselves, that's where you have people just following everybody. They say 85% of people out there are followers. You know what I mean? 85%, that's a lot of people. And especially now when everybody's out there searching for followers, that means they're compromising themselves, their morals, their values in order to gain followers. But them themselves aren't even leaders. So how are you trying to have followers where you're not a leader and you can't lead the people to follow you? So yeah, again, it's just going back to the undertones, man, understanding your value, knowing your worth, and knowing what you have to offer. Because if you don't know what you have to offer, then obviously you don't know your value. When you know what you have to offer, now you can barter, you can negotiate. You know what I mean? It just opens up the road for communication in other ways versus you faking the phone.
One of the biggest problems here, nobody wants God. And let me be more specific. There are specific souls out here that walk this earth with their own intentions, their own rules, their own laws. If I just picked this up and I started reading from scripture here, how many people would be interested in hearing what I had to say or what I was reading? Well, that's all good and well, but there are a lot of folks who they know that they live a certain lifestyle that goes against what's in scripture. And I can speak for myself. I'm guilty. I'm hell bound. I'm all that. Sin every day. I can be transparent about it. If I went to Proverbs right now, I guarantee you I didn't cross a few lines in there. But see, people don't want to hear that. They don't want to be exposed. They don't want the light to be put on them. And the reason why is because that is going to force you to do some work. And either you're going to do the work or you're going to ignore it and you're going to keep doing what the fuck you want to do. Period. And that's how most of us live. So you create your own rules, your own laws, your own standards, your own jurisdictions, your own perimeters. you get your source from a flawed being who can never, ever direct you properly, but you take your advice from flesh because it's easier to deal with that than it is to deal with something that goes against what the hell you really want to do. That's why most folks are followers. That's why most folks are confused. That's why most folks don't know up from down. And you spend half of your life sleeping around with multiple men and women trying to figure out what pieces fit. You have multiple kids out of wedlock. Your marriages fail and suffer. You go through all this mental trauma. You're trying to heal. You build up all of this resentment towards the opposite gender because you stepped out of the will of God. God is the first and should be the head of everybody's life. But I'm not trying to put that on nobody because everybody might not believe in that. That's just me. God first, God, man, woman, child, in that order. He's going to make sure that you are operating with that ebb and flow. No different than how the wind blows when it blows and where it blows, or how the river comes and recedes. It's no different than when the sun comes up and goes down. It has its time. The earth rotates. The calendar year, everything has unison. Everything has structure and order. Most of us don't have structure and order. We take our advice from the most flawed things on the planet. And then you wonder why you are so confused and so messed up in the head. So, no, most of us are being raised under adults, parents, grandparents who they were in the street. They smoked a little crack here and there. They slept around. They got led astray. They didn't break the generational curses. Someone lied to them and planted seeds of discord in their life, and they passed it on to you. That's why you don't know. That's why you don't give a shit about a man's struggle. You don't care if he's mentally going through nothing. You don't care if he's suicidal. You don't care if that man's struggling in love. You don't care if that man is in any type of condition that is not or outside of your reality. And men as well. I'm going to stop right there. I do got some follow-up questions. I guess I could bring them up unless anybody wants to retort. Okay. So let me go here. Are modern women incapable of healthy relationships? Zay.
I wouldn't say incapable. It's more of they don't have the desire to. And I'm not saying all women. I'm just saying some women. You know, they don't have the desire to.
Coach, you laughed. You agree? You disagree?
Oh, I'm just watching y'all on these all in Psalms now. But yeah, I mean that's kind of a broad statement. You can't say, that none of them. Is it something that's desired? Like Zay said, probably not, man. I mean, so many. It's so crazy, man, because so many people. You talk about modern. I don't even know what modern women is these days, but you look at the landscape, man, of people that are married. They aren't staying married anymore. So you spend a lot of time talking about modern women. So it depends on which demographic you're speaking about. But you just see a lot of people kind of ditching marriage as a whole. Again, it goes back to everybody out there just being out for themselves, man. that whole team concept is something of the past. Everybody's talking about meet me where my energy is and meet me at my level. And how the hell am I supposed to do all that? I don't know what level and I don't know what your energy is because you haven't communicated with me. So I can't answer you that, brother. I don't know what modern women is, man. It just seems to be people in totality as a whole. Everybody's trying to figure it out. And I think everybody's bullshit odometer or barometer is ringing off the scales, and nobody has tolerance for anybody anymore. But at the same time, they want to be tolerated. So I think people just in general don't know how to treat people anymore, and that they would say that they want to be treated a certain way without, and you can't reciprocate energy. There's no way that you can do that. But what you can do is you can try to, meet somebody halfway. And that's what I will say, the lack thereof that's happening these days is people aren't necessarily willing to put the effort into it. Entitlement almost without earning anything. That's what I see on the landscape.
Hey, boss,
Yeah.
I have a quick question before you
Go ahead.
proceed. When you're talking about modern women, are you talking about the ones that are looking for tricks? Now, I know it sounds like a joke, but I'm being
Hey, I know exactly what you're talking about. I know exactly. So the modern woman, they operate under the transactional relationship IDs, the ideologies. So basically, they are the ones who say you got to make at least what I make or more, or I want to pick and choose when I am feminine, when I want to be nurturing, when I want to be considerate of you. You have to honor the traditional role. I can pick and choose what I get from it. That's what I'm referring to. Because it seems as if nobody wants those ways anymore. It comes off as slavery. It comes off as if I'm trying to dominate you in a way where I'm beating the hell out of you with a belt if you don't do what I say. Like, you, what the fuck? You ain't fuck that type of shit. Nah, it's social media has gotten people so like confused with what that stuff's supposed to look like. You know what I'm saying? And so you got men and women who are angry and they're bitter. All right, put it this way. Y'all got abused mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. You got damaged by people that you actually were interested in, and now you've decided to adapt to a whole entirely different way of thinking to protect your heart from being hurt. That's all it really come down to. So you end up starting to listen to certain people who tell you to go out here and drain them of their wallets, or you go out here and you tell them to just have sex with her and keep it pushing because most people are just broken and damaged. There was something I was going to say and I lost it. Shit. Let me think about that one real quick. Let me go to the comments. People put elaborate words on simple actions like meet at my level situation when all is just yeah. Remember when we did that show on Sofia Vergara? And my whole thing is when you are operating in the space that you're supposed to be, you're not living for him or her or the person around the corner. You ain't trying to satisfy Chris Brown or whoever the fuck you might idolize. when you doing what you supposed to be doing in this walk, guess what? The right friends will find you. Your partner will find you. Or I should say you'd find each other. The business will flow how it's supposed to. You won't have a bunch of fake people around you. Why? Because doing things in order eliminates the bullshit. When you do things in decent order, the liars, they can't stay. The manipulators, they can't be around you. The people that are operating from a nefarious and demonic place, they can't stand in your light. You are what you attract. That's all it is. So I think, and I could be wrong for a lot of this, because some people, when they say they don't need a man, I'm just going off of, you don't need him because, well, you got your stuff in order, which is cool. Many people probably will never get married in this life. Many people will probably never end up having a family at all. But I see a lot of folks that they regret it later on. I just finished doing a reaction video earlier. This woman, 52 years old, 52. And you would think that I'm exaggerating. She said herself, I wish, and I'm just paraphrasing. I wish I didn't bullshit around when I was younger. I would tell my younger self, go ahead and settle down now. Don't play around. Don't wait until you get older thinking that you can still do the same things that you was doing then. Don't wait until you up and no. But I get it. I get people want to protect their peace. Nobody wants to be toyed around with. At all. And at SM, and matter of fact, let's address her comment, the independent thing. We can't speak for all men. I'm gonna speak for myself. You being independent is not a problem. That's not the problem. The problem is when you say, I don't need you. Because when you tell me you don't need me, and I said this to somebody before, when you say that to me, I'm like, all right, well, why the fuck am I here? I don't even need to be here. Why are you calling me? Don't talk to me about your ex-boyfriends. Don't talk to me about none of that shit. Don't talk to me about your family issues. I don't want to hear it. Because you just said you don't need me. You didn't say me specific, but when you say you don't need this and you got this and you got that, no, that sounds like a man